Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here and joining us today. I've just got some quick housekeeping announcements to get through, and then we'll do some quick introductions, and then we'll get things started. So this webinar, like every other webinar that Build Reuse hosts, will be recorded and posted to our YouTube channel. So if you want to catch up on some webinars of the past, I can post our YouTube channel link in the chat here in a few moments. We also have some time built into the presentation today to get some feedback directly from you all on the Build Reuse Wiki, which will be a great time to ask any questions you might have. But feel free to pop those in the chat throughout the presentation today. So today's webinar, it's a little bit different than our usual approach. And today you have three Build Reuse volunteers who will be sharing some insights and soliciting feedback on the Build Reuse Wiki platform. We'll get more into the weeds about this particular tool throughout the presentation today, but if you are unfamiliar, we're happy to have you here. And the Build Reuse Wiki is a hub of resources regarding reuse within the built environment, including helpful information such as policy examples, case studies, and general resources to help bring reuse models from paper to practice. So with that, I will introduce myself and then pass things off to Luna and Melissa to introduce themselves. Thank you all for being here. My name is Josh Hoff. I am a solid waste planner with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and I'm also a volunteer on Build Reuse's membership and programming committee, working to bring you monthly or close to monthly webinars such as this one. So thank you again all for being here and excited to have a conversation today. And Luna or Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself quick?
Sure. Melissa Wenzel. I also work at the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. I'm our state's Built Environment Sustainability Administrator. I am a board member of Build Reuse and co-chair the committee that Josh talked about, the Programming and Membership Committee. How about you, Luna?
Hey everyone, I'm Luna Oiwa. I was formerly a Build Reuse board member, and I'm still active as a volunteer for Build Reuse in this wiki capacity. I'm based in New York, and I work for the EPA, but for the purpose of this webinar, I'm just a Build Reuse volunteer. Okay, and yeah, I can kick us off. Move to the next slide. Oops. Okay, yeah. Kind of went over intros already. Okay, so first, what is the wiki? So the wiki is a tool. It is a publicly viewable webpage of resources about deconstruction and reuse, and its aim is really to facilitate the sharing of information and collaboration among the many groups and individuals advocating for building material reuse in the US and Canada and beyond. And I started getting involved in the reuse community in 2021. And over time, I got more and more involved in Build Reuse in particular. I became the co-chair of a data and policy committee, which I don't think is still running. But in that data and policy committee, people came to the committee with many ideas. They wanted initiatives towards convincing policymakers to explore or adopt deconstruction policies. They wanted initiatives for advancing deconstruction as a climate resilience tool. They wanted to quantify embodied carbon benefits of deconstruction and reuse, collect reuse center information, locations, sales volume, etc. And it really made me wonder what we could do with our limited time as volunteers and also our relatively limited resources. And I thought we could spend a substantial amount of time putting together a guidance document addressing any one of those topics. Or we could look into what resources are already out there and share that knowledge with one another. And that's really how the wiki concept was born. After comparing a number of different Wikipedia-like platforms, I proposed to the Build Reuse board that we settle on the platform called All Answered. And the idea was approved by the Build Reuse board, and the wiki launched in 2022. Then I started drafting out the first pages, compiling resources from reuse-related newsletters that I subscribed to, and resources that others had shared with me. And I figured that over time, people within the Build Reuse community would also be populating it so that the platform would become updated in a sustainable manner and continue beyond my involvement. And the platform enabled that model because It was set up so that anyone who requested access could edit. However, based on an initial pilot, it became evident that the platform was just a little too cumbersome on the editing side for even the most enthusiastic folks to frequently edit it. And because it was a pay-by-user plan, we ultimately made the decision to cut down the number of users. So currently, anyone, including the general public, can view the wiki, but only myself, Josh, Melissa, I think Paula can edit. And the protocol is that if you'd like to see something added, you can you can send an email to the info@buildreuse.org email, and we can add it for you. But we are still in the process of evaluating other platform options that would be more intuitive to edit and also be able to track engagement like viewer count, which we currently can't do. But with all this in mind, while the tool is still not in its final form, there's already a lot of great content in there, and that's really what we wanted to show you today, and also just get everybody to think about the potential of this tool. So I am not going to go through every single page of the wiki, but I did want to provide a high-level overview. So first, to get to the wiki, you can go to the Build Reuse website. So let's say you're on the home page. There's this top bar. It says wiki/forum, and you can click wiki, access wiki. And it will take you to an about page, which provides a brief description about the tool, some navigation instructions. Sorry if it's a little small. And you'll also see in a little subpage under about the Build Reuse Wiki, a page on the brief history of the wiki that I just mentioned. Let's see what else. On the left-hand side, you can see that there's just a table of contents, essentially. You can use it to click through and see all the different pages on here. We have, under about the Build Reuse Wiki, we have the big picture, policies and codes, deconstruction, designing with reclaimed materials, connecting supply and demand of materials, research and innovation, connection and information exchange, funding opportunities, metrics and standards. So for example, if I go to connecting supply and demand of materials, there's a subpage that says reuse innovation hubs and centers, and it leads to a page of resources about that particular topic. And as you navigate, you'll see that some pages are more populated than others. Some might have slightly outdated information, but generally there's a year listed, and we've generally been posting relatively static pieces of information that don't need to be frequently updated over time. So there's not really any event information on here, for example. Other things, if you click the Build Reuse General at the top here, you can see which pages have been most recently updated. And you can also use the search bar and type, for example, disassembly. And you should be able to search for resources related to design for disassembly, for example. So that is my very high-level overview of the wiki, and I encourage you to look through it on your own, which we will do in the next section. I'm going to pass it off to Josh, but let me screen share again. Sorry, give me a sec.
Just wanted to add that one of the reasons we're having this webinar is that Luna had sent out a survey asking folks, what did you like about the wiki? We've had it for a couple of years, and a lot of folks are like, I will use it now. I didn't know it existed. So that was kind of an aha moment for us to consider repeating a webinar that we hosted a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Well, because we are really trying to show off, of course, the wiki and all the great resources in there, we have kind of a built-in activity in today's webinar. So kind of a brief overview of what will be happening in the next 5, 10, 15 minutes is we're going to break everyone into breakout rooms. And for folks who might be joining on their phone, the wiki can be a little difficult to navigate on your phone. So if you just want to save your wiki navigation for a little bit later when you have access to a computer, that's totally fine and also encouraged. So we have two questions that are both on the next couple of slides to kind of guide you through the wiki and kind of give you an end destination, if you will. And we're not going to help you get there because part of the exercise is to kind of look and see everything that the wiki has to offer. Of course, it's not contained to just these two questions. So up first, which stated motive is most common amongst municipalities that have adopted deconstruction ordinances? And as you kind of flip through this information, we encourage you to think about which of these motives would most apply to you in your locality. You know, is it historic preservation related? Is it more on the waste sustainability side? Just kind of keeping that in mind as you kind of look to see what other cities have done. So are we in good shape for quick breakout rooms? And I will post the wiki link directly in the chat so you guys can have easy access
Oh, I
to
just
that.
posted it.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect.
Josh, did you want folks to answer both questions?
Um, I figured we would maybe do it one at a time, but yeah, let's do
Okay.
both so we don't have to break out
Okay. Yeah.
multiple times. So that first one is what is the most common motive for adopting deconstruction ordinances? And then our second question is just pick out a couple of resources that are most interesting to you in the how to reuse commercial buildings section. And feel free to discuss amongst yourselves in your group about what's most interesting, and maybe we'll have time to bring that back to the larger group. And that last link in there in the chat is the direct link to the wiki, so you all have access to that.
I'm gonna copy the questions in here too.
Thank you.
Also, if you're speaking, you're muted.
I was speaking and I was muted. I created 7 rooms. There's 39 participants left. And then 8 people haven't joined a room yet.
Okay.
How,
Great.
how much time should we give folks?
Well, they're relatively simple questions, but I don't know. Enough time to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I was also muted. I think does 10 minutes sound, is that too much time?
Maybe like
Because
7.
they'll
Yeah,
probably introduce
sorry.
themselves.
Yeah,
I wasn't happy to see the mass exodus.
it's always a risk with
Yeah.
these. Melissa, did we want to save just a couple minutes at the end to tee up next month, or should we kind of just announce that? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I think that'd be good
cool. Great.
for those that are left.
Great. Hello, Jonathan. Did you just join?
I did. I remembered it was happening, and I said to myself, "Oh dear, I'm late." And so then, here we are. How goes it?
Oh, yeah, well, welcome. Right now, so we actually have some folks in breakout rooms. We have kind of a introduction activity to the Build Reuse Wiki, which of course is the topic of the webinar today. So Melissa, I'm not sure if it's possible to add Jonathan to a breakout room, and if you're not, it's kind of like a discussion exploration of the tool. So you're also welcome to do that on your own.
Yeah,
We're giving folks around maybe 6 more minutes just to kind of find some specific. It's like a scavenger hunt, essentially, is what we're doing.
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
Perhaps I can just wait and catch you up later.
Do you have access to the chat from the ones that have been
What? Yes, go
moderated?
So, for instance, in Zoom right now, I don't have anything since I've joined.
Okay, sure. Let me get you the link here for the wiki. Are you familiar with the wiki as a resource?
I have reviewed it since the last. Um, so I joined for the I think the more routine meeting maybe last month, and have since
Great.
reviewed the wiki and the forum to learn more. So I have a
Great.
high level understanding of
Perfect.
it.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. A little bit later too, we'll have just kind of an opportunity for folks to share any feedback that they may have. This is definitely a living resource, so we're kind of here soliciting feedback, kind of understanding what folks' needs are relating to this tool in this field. So we'll have a survey link there. So if you discovered anything in your high level review that you're like, this could be improved, that's the information that would really love to hear. So keep that in mind. But yeah, we'll have folks back in here in just a few minutes.
All right, great. I'll follow the link.
Okay, thank you.
Josh, how many minutes are left?
I can't say that I've been keeping count. Trying to see when. Looks like you put in the second question at 1:16. So maybe a minute or two.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I'll do a broadcast message.
Perfect.
Thanks.
I guess there's one more minute left. The minute before the minute.
All right. Looks like we're getting everyone back into the main room here. So yeah, I guess at this point we just kind of want to turn the floor over to you all to kind of share what you found. So just starting with the first question, I know when I was doing this, kind of counting out all of the different motives for deconstruction ordinances, there were maybe a few ties. So I'm just curious to know kind of what people found was most common in their search. Do those make sense to you in your locality, or your city or county? Are there anything you were surprised by? So yeah, just kind of opening the floor up for the answers that you all found, and also if you found the answers pretty easily. So I'll pass the floor over to our attendees if anyone wants to share.
And feel free to put it in chat. We can read it, or take yourself off mute and let us know what you found.
I guess I can just speak to the fact this probably isn't a good answer, but we all live in jurisdictions where, well, except for Lincoln, that nothing's happening. So, and we're all interested in there was Bill from Marin, and there was Jody from Indiana, and I'm out here in Kitsap County. So, trying to kind of get things in place. There might be things happening nearby, but not in our jurisdictions.
And I I would say from our group, we had a sampling of people from different places who are working on this now, but don't have it in place. Uh, where I'm from Ithaca, New York State, worked with Luna. I was there probably when I was there when you started this and didn't know a lot about it. So I learned a lot also, but also the cases that you show, I think are super helpful to everybody else who's putting forth those ideas. Because when we started in Ithaca and Tompkins County, we didn't have hardly anything. So connecting those dots for people is super important. And thank you.
I just wanted to share, I think, something that stands out for me on the motives that were listed on the wiki. For the most part, most of those local units of government had a wide range of motives, and I feel like that's kind of a takeaway for me, or at least in our city. I work for the city of St. Louis Park in Minnesota, and our experience in this space is that the motivation initially has come from staff that are looking at it from a waste reduction lens, but there are a lot of different motivating factors for the various departments and staff that we need to have buy-in to like move forward more policy. So it's great to see that other local units of government have listed things like social equity and uh, housing and things that aren't in the waste world, but can kind of leverage support by being able to show that other cities have done this work in a way to support a lot of different priorities that a city or a county might hold. So thanks.
Great. Thank you all.
So,
Is there any? Oh, yep, please go
yeah,
ahead.
so I think, in our group and, we had Boulder, Atlanta, a few, and one other location, which my poor memory and age just doesn't remember right off the bat, so I apologize. But we really were looking across and we said the connecting linkages around waste management. And I think the conversation we had is, there's way more to this than just waste management. And, even, do we need to, go back and make sure we're including the full story of material reuse that goes beyond end of life management, right? In terms of what it brings and be able to engage in that storytelling and even update some of the case studies around that, right? Was kind of a conversation we had.
Yeah, I like that, Jay. To tag on to that, hopefully, Lincoln, this is okay for me to promote the company you work for. But out here in Washington State, I've been fascinated by this company that Lincoln works for called Nichols Brothers, and they move houses and other structures from Vancouver, Canada, and around Seattle and other parts of Washington State near the coast. And I think that's a great storytelling because you're preserving the whole structure, and there's a lot of just beauty and embedded carbon, great materials in that. So that's a story rather than just the parts of the house. If there's these, old homes or old buildings that you can basically dismantle and rebuild, that's pretty cool.
Thank you, Debbie.
In our jurisdiction, in northern Minnesota, financial is always the biggest issue for our local politicians, right? Uh, so however you do it, I don't think in our jurisdiction, um, they'll be very motivated to adopt a deconstruction ordinance unless the financials make sense. So, in our group, and there was just a couple of us that were speaking, spoke about a couple of different things, but uh, there was some feedback related to the, public health preservation and economic value and job creation and all the things that are listed in the wiki there, why deconstruct and reuse. But I was more on the side of economics. You have to find a way to make sense. And there was a comment about waste reduction. What about the cost of landfills and those kinds of things? And you're not considering that. Well, homeowner doesn't do that. And I know in Minnesota, we're going down the path of producer responsibility, to the end of the life of the product. And I think I think that will help with the common sense of it, because the total cost will be included all the way to the end of that product, the end of the life of the product. So I think that's the way it's got to go. I don't think local ordinances are going to be the one thing that drives this. I think it's got to go where the consumer can see the total cost based on what that product costs, because the producer is forced to actually deal with the end of life part of it too. So
Just a side note, I was really pleased to see that you had registered and that you're attending this meeting. There's been a number of people who want a statewide Minnesota ordinance of diversion and reuse opportunities. And I think about what you say on a regular basis to kind of push back that we're not there, we're not ready. And we've done a lot to initiate some other changes. And we're getting more local governments starting diversion reuse programs, and we're funding a lot of them. But it just reminds me of the why. we're not necessarily jumping to something statewide. We're not all the same. And I might have jumped the queue for Susan and now Jay, so my apologies on that.
I was just going to say New York State has an ordinance before the governor, and it's in committee at the moment for waste diversion and mostly deconstruction, not waste diversion. Our assembly person here locally, everyone where I live pretty much believes it and wants to work on it. So figuring out ways to do that. So we'll let you know how it goes.
Thanks.
I just want to make the point that I think our tendency in policy is to think that the rational mind is what drives change, and it's just not true. It's identity, belief, shared values that do, and I think we have a really strong case to be made beyond just the economics as we see that into a value-based conversation that I think can be equally powerful. So I'm not saying that economics aren't important. I like to say economics plus, because that's how we're going to change culture, which we have to change culture on how we look at materials. And we got to quit talking about it as an end of life problem, because then we're devaluing people and materials in this.
100%.
So I just want to really push that point.
Really good point.
I raised my hand because I'm here in the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., where I helped implement a change to our building code. So even though it's not explicitly deconstruction related, it's a salvage requirement for all construction of renovations and 1 and 2 family dwellings. Unfortunately, it's not enforced at all. And so that's a problem there. And I think the comment, and maybe I'll not preempt Carol, because I think I know what she's going to say if she's going to say the same thing she said in our breakout. But we got to have a way to handle the materials.
Thank you for that introduction, Jim. Yes, I'm in Santa Barbara, and for 25 years, I've been climbing this mountain as a sole proprietor. Now I've moved 9 times my warehouse, and now that's an 800 square foot warehouse that simply cannot meet the needs of the community, but the community can't be encouraged to deconstruct unless there's a place to put it. And so I've started doing something that I don't know anybody else who's doing it. I would really appreciate if there is anyone else doing this, and that is marketing materials directly from construction sites, which requires a computer program to really make it work. And it would be great if there's anybody else doing that, so that I could have some insights. But I will say that figure out where it goes before you pick it up is my golden rule. I've been teaching this for 7 years at the community college. It's deconstruction and reuse, but you have to have a facility. Really, it doesn't make much sense without that. So that means, how do we garner the support of the administrative the administration in the municipalities. I love the idea. Alice was in our group, and she works with oh, good. Thank you, Melissa. She works with hospitals, and we were talking about. She said she wasn't really in the reuse. Well, that absolutely is an uncharted territory, as far as I know. I really feel like that we need to, as a grassroots effort, get out into as many different pockets as we can to establish the tent posts and bring it forward.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts and observations. It's super helpful dialogue to have. So I appreciate everyone coming off mute and jumping in with their 2 cents there. I do want to keep us moving. It looks like we have about 20 minutes left. So just quickly, if folks want to kind of shout out anything that they found under how to reuse commercial buildings, that caught their eye, surprised them, be like, oh, I've seen this before. I think we'll save around 5 minutes because I know we have some content to get to after this. So, folks want to share any particular resources they found, or otherwise we can keep moving. And feel free to use the chat also.
In the rural areas of Minnesota, they're a industrious bunch of people that try to reuse just the best they can. So nothing is of everything is has value when you don't have a lot, right? So they reuse as much as they can, and I know that uh, the gentleman, I think from Washington State or Oregon, had mentioned that they move full buildings. We do that here, you know, from time to time. We have building movers when it makes sense financially for someone to do that. They reuse materials from torn down commercial or residential properties and build various things. I just had someone apply for a land use permit for a garage with a bunch of reused material, but it was not ordinance motivated. It was financial motivated for them. It made sense. It was less cost for them to acquire that reused material uh, than it was to buy new. So.
It's great. Thank you, Matthew. Anyone else want to jump in, or should we keep moving?
Let's keep moving. People can post stuff and
Here and now. Yeah, we'll keep moving.
Right. Thank you all for your engagement. It's a really insightful conversation overall. Okay, so I sent out a survey in April last year about the wiki, and about 30 people responded. Wanted to share some of the main takeaways from that survey. So responses said that a lot of, again, like Melissa said, a lot of people were simply not aware of the Reuse Wiki, which is why we decided to hold this webinar. And we're trying to highlight the wiki more in the Builders newsletters as well. The topics of most interest among respondents were policy, reuse networks, including organizations and individuals, and reuse of wood. We learned that there's still some interest in making this tool a real wiki in the sense that people wanted to be able to edit the wiki directly. And overall, very overwhelmingly positive responses and lots of people saying that the wiki is helpful or seems helpful if that was the first that they were hearing about it. And maybe that resonates with you, maybe it doesn't, but we'd love to know either way. Josh has put together a post-webinar survey that I think he's going to be putting in the chat. So please do fill it out. We got a lot of interesting feedback today already, and I am very much looking forward to hearing more about what you all think of this tool. And with that,
Hey,
I'm going to turn it over. Yep, go ahead.
um, I just wanted to sort of add something. Um, I've been involved in reused materials for almost 40 years, and uh, I'm really concerned about the urban forests. I'm really concerned about the natural capacity of communities and people to live more wholesome life. And I'm a designer. And I've designed the world's most empowering, sustainable, creative, and affordable furniture for 21st century living. I what I produce is a kit. It's called a maker kit, and the heart of the maker kit is my iconic joinery. That's its name, iconic joinery, and it can have any design, any logo, any impression that somebody wants. It could be made into that. And what it does is it allows people to take lumber from um, deconstruction. And because not every house can be moved, so deconstruction is very important. And allows people to take lumber from deconstruction, cut it to length, drill some holes in it, and it bolts together so that people without, this furniture, the way it's designed and the way it's built will last hundreds of years. It's fully repairable. It's scalable. It's very um, empowering is what it is. And I've been doing this, like I say, for over 30 years here in California. And because of my personality, I can understand. My wife says my personality's too overboard. But anyways, I haven't been able to convince very many people. But I live in a county that's very wealthy, and so maybe that's the problem. I even tried to create a deconstruction facility and couldn't get any support whatsoever. So I'm calling out to all you. I'm looking for funding, and you can find my call for funding on a website called Ask for Funding .org, and so you can see what I'm proposing. But really, what I'm looking to is that the reuse marketplace of materials needs to have a stronger marketing campaign. It needs a campaign that reaches the people. It's the people who are going to make the change for us. It's the people who are going to encourage the community council members or supervisors to get off their butts and do something about it. End this waste. It's a tragic waste, especially in today's time with global warming. I mean, there are tons of sequestered carbon in these materials, and we've got to stop turning them into fuel for energy for a moment in time when we can sequester these materials for a long time. So I'm sort of throwing it out to all of you, and maybe you might see something or something I might say might spark an opportunity. But you can visit my website. It's called tamalpais.com. That's TAMALPAIS.com. I have a new site that's been under development for a year, so what you'll be seeing is my older site. But and I have a new product, by the way. This is like my entryway for people. It's called Mighty Wings, and it's hardware for building a bench for two. And so, I could build, build loft beds that involve a lot of construction and parts in it. But this is something that's designed specifically where somebody can go and get a plank from an old building or put some wood together and apply the joinery, and it'll last forever or almost. Thank you for listening to my plug.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
You
I
hit
think
on
it's
a
a
lot of
pretty good,
really important points.
yeah. I also think it's a good segue into the forum.
I was thinking that too, actually.
I was thinking, yeah, let's keep this conversations like these going, and that's perfect for the forum. Really quick, I did post that survey link in the chat, so please let us know your thoughts. And Melissa, please take it away about the forum.
Sounds great. So this is member only specific. While before I joined the board, this was something that was created to try to engage more of the people that financially support build reuse. And I don't know the original history or like when it was created, if it created at the same time as the wiki or not, but I found it extremely helpful. So again, you do have to be a member to be able to use it. Next slide. But there's a lot of really great and helpful discussion items going on. So it's by the members, for the members. I use it a lot when people ask me questions that I don't know how to answer. People may ask questions about reuse retail, things like that. I'm going to now take control of sharing so that I can demonstrate this tool. It's actually kind of like we acknowledged, dovetailing nicely in what William was just saying, to be able to talk about this particular forum. People who have great ideas or want to challenge the status quo or things like that, those are the kind of things that come up within these opportunities. This is behind the scenes connected to Wild Apricot. So you do have to have a membership to be able to log in, to be able to utilize this site. The current topics of follow under the certain categories of deconstruction, reuse retail policy, job postings, general discussion, and I don't know that anyone has ever used the admin only section, so I kind of forget that that exists. But the topics are really rich and varied. So,
Melissa, you might be sharing the wrong screen because we're just seeing the browser. It says Waste Dive.
Well, I've had worse browsers being shared, so there's that. Thank you very much for that.
No problem.
I mean, just Gmail, not bad. I'm going to stop talking on that. Okay, thank you for letting me know. How about now?
We're seeing the forum now.
Excellent, excellent. So Build Reuse Forum, like I mentioned, is connected to Wild Apricot, which is our management system for who's a member. And so you do have to log in to create an account to be able to utilize this service. So the categories I mentioned are as follows: deconstruction operations, reuse retail, policy, job postings, general discussion. And that is the most rich of the conversations, is the general discussion. You can also add a new topic by clicking new topic and add, which I do on a very regular basis when I get questions that I can't answer. So almost every single time I post a new topic, a new question, it's because somebody's reached out to me and I don't know the answer. So this has been a general one that we get on a regular basis, where I was looking for some examples. What's the cost of deconstruction compared to what is the cost of deconstruction versus destroying something? And how can we sell the concept of there's actual financial economic benefits that come from deconstruction compared to demolition? So I didn't get any responses to that. I only asked it 2 weeks ago, so that could be something people can come back to and answer. And part of it was I just didn't have any time to do any research. I was able, I think, find a couple examples later after this was posted, but a lot of great things. Some folks will talk about the fact that there's a New England, Boston area deconstruction reuse group, Take Back, who are talking about, that might be the driver for some of these things, is having the responsibility back on those that manufacture these items. Logistics software, having more online reuse retailers, having the ability to find items online is also something very important. And, there's a job posting, that's great to post it here. So it's been really helpful for folks that do have a question, want to interact with one another. We're trying to do more member-specific things with our quarterly meetings and our Build Reuse affinity groups. So these are just some of the examples of how being a member is beneficial. And I'm not trying to do this as a sales pitch. It's not my day job to make money for Build Reuse, but just something added value to this community of tools that might be able to help you out and might be helpful for you and your organization. Any questions about the forum? Luna, anything I didn't cover?
I mean, one thing I would say is that the wiki is really helpful for static resources, whereas the form kind of complements it in that you can ask one-off questions and share resources on a topic by topic basis.
That's a really good point. Thank you.
And of course, this is intuitive, but the more people use the forum, the more helpful it is.
Melissa, were you saying that the forum is only available to current members?
I did say that. Yep.
It's just weird. Like I'm not logged in. I just
Mhm.
decided and I went to it, and so I can view it on my
Okay.
browser.
Thank you for letting me know about that as somebody who's a member. So of course I see what I see. Can you add to the tool?
Oh,
Or is
I
it just view only, which is, I think that's helpful too. That's really good to
yeah,
know. I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know that.
But yeah, I just didn't. Okay, I'm on
Okay.
DuckDuckGo browser, so
Okay. So is it that you can only view the content, but you can't add to it?
I haven't tried to add yet. I just pulled it
Okay.
up and was like, oh, I can look at it. I'm not logged in. So anyway, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, no, the people who are sharing information get to learn from those that are attending this event.
Yeah, it looks like there's the membership wall when you try to post or reply. So,
Thanks for that information.
Carol?
Is it possible to join as an individual for the $80 rather than as an organization?
Absolutely. Yes, I will throw a member link. You probably have access to it, but I'll throw the member link into chat.
Thank you. I want to support Build Reuse, and it's just cost prohibitive
Of course, that's
as
why
a
we have.
business.
Yeah, no, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, finding the link in chat. There you go. That's the main landing page. And then when you click on join or renew at the bottom, there's an individual membership opportunity. There's also a student one too. So if you have students in your life that care about this stuff, let them know that there's a student membership too. Any final thoughts or questions at this time? Was this helpful for folks? Was this interesting and helpful? Great.
Thank
I'll
you
get
all.
the I'll get the recording for this available either today or tomorrow, and we'll share this very shortly with everybody who registered. And we'll include the links that we talked about, the main links, as well as the questions, the survey link, and things like that. So continue to browse these resources. Feel free to add to them. Carol, great question. We actually will have a quarterly member only meeting. So once you become a member, you'll get an invite to that in April 20th, I believe it is. And we feel like it's important for us to be able to network. And when we did that for those of us that could attend the conference, obviously face to face, and we want to provide similar opportunities virtually too. Not everyone wants to do it, so we did see folks jump off when we had the breakout rooms, but that's fine because this made it a very rich conversation, and others are going to learn from. They're going to go back and watch this and benefit from the information that we shared today. Oh, Jen's comment, the webinar inspired me out of my Thursday funk. That was so sweet. Thank you for posting that. Well, hope that you all remain funk free and that you all have a good rest of your day wherever you're calling in from. Take good care, everybody.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you all.
Yeah, bye.
Wonderful. Wonderful forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.